So, for the first time in the history of this podcast, I will do an interview in English. I might throw in some random Swedish words here and there. I hope you don't mind. I am nervous, yet super excited to have our first international guest joining the show for a few minutes. We have on codec frequency 141.82 the voice actor of Hal Emmerich, aka Otto Kahn, from Metal Gear Solid, but also a very familiar voice throughout the whole Metal Gear Solid franchise, Mr. Christopher Randolph. Hi.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Thank you.
Welcome to the show. It's a true pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. It's my pleasure too. I've never been to Sweden, but it's on my list. It's somewhere I would love to go.
Yeah, you're welcome to come here any day you want.
I'll work on that.
So, how has your day been?
My day's been good. I'm actually I'm taking some time off this week. 4th of July is coming up next week, which is of course the big American holiday.
Yep.
And I did a little work last week, and I kind of had a free week. So I'm actually at my parents' house right now, which is by the ocean in Massachusetts. So
nice.
I had quite a nice day so far.
Oh, cool. Well, is this your first time in a Swedish podcast, I presume?
Yeah, I think it is, actually. In fact, I'm sure it is. I've done some podcasts for Brazil and Ireland and certainly a couple in America.
All right.
But this is my first Swedish, which is great.
Well, that's cool. But it would be fun to know also, what do you know about Sweden?
Not a lot. I mean, probably more than your average American. I mean, I've been an actor for years, so I've always admired the Swedish theater and Swedish film.
Yeah.
We always think of Bergman, and I suppose what I know of Sweden comes from that kind of thing. A friend who was married to my sister for a while, but he remains a friend, leads tours up into the Arctic Circle, and they go to Spitsbergen, which is obviously Norway, I guess, but that I have seen so many pictures of, because he's gone through Sweden, and I've seen stuff and heard about it from him. But it's about all I can think of, really.
It's an okay answer. That's okay.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's some great literature to come out of it, and the people have always struck me as being incredibly attractive.
Oh yeah, that's true. We have a beautiful women here.
Beautiful women, and very handsome men too.
Yeah.
What I have seen. So that's about it. I'm afraid.
So. Me and the listeners of our show know you as for the voice of Hal Emmerich, Otto Kahn, from the Metal Gear Solid games. But what do you do when you don't do like voiceovers for video games? Right.
I am generally an actor, so I am often doing theater pieces. Usually in New York City, where I live, but sometimes regionally around the country or on a tour. I'm increasingly trying to get myself on film and television as much as I can. Nothing really major so far, but just keep your fingers crossed. And actually the last 5-6 years I've been directing a lot for theater.
Oh, cool.
So mostly new plays. So I work a lot with young writers and help them clarify and shape their vision. And then I've directed a bunch of new plays in New York and also Boston. I directed one in Boston as well. And I'm starting to think about maybe directing a short film. So that's basically what I do to kind of keep busy.
Yeah, keeping yourself busy. That's right.
And occasionally a voice acting job will come up that's not Metal Gear, and so I will step into that too.
Oh, that's cool. If you want to go back in time, Metal Gear Solid for the original PlayStation, it was a milestone in many ways. It was more than a game, really. It was like the first cinematic gaming experience, and was way ahead of its time when it comes to gameplay elements as well as storytelling, dialogue, and sound drama. Something that the series is still known and loved for today. And going back to that first day of recording, did you have any idea that this was going to become the huge success that it later became?
Oh my goodness, no, I don't think any of us did. You know, I kind of stumbled into it. I had taken was living in Los Angeles at the time, and I had taken a class in what was then known as animation voiceover. So for like cartoons, you know. Mm-hmm. And it was a wonderful class. I had a really good time. And there were two teachers, and one of them was this woman named Chris Zimmerman, who was at the time a casting director and also a voice director. So, and we all got along. We got along really well. And I would say 6 or 8 months after that class ended, I got a call from her, and she said, "Hey, listen, do you want to come in and audition for this strange project that I'm working on? We're getting a lot of good people to come in. It's a game. It's, you know, unusual."
Yeah.
I said, "Sure." So I went in and did it, and was kind of, I think we've all been astounded at what it's turned into, you know, because we really didn't know. We had no idea what this was.
Yeah, that was something new for its time, really.
Very much so. And also, you know, it's funny because it had already been made and I believe released in Japan.
Yeah.
So unlike all the rest of our recording sessions, this one we were basically had to sort of do what the Japanese had done already, at least in terms of our timing, our vocal timing and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, we were sort of just kind of, I don't know how to put it. We were basically translating the game into English.
Yeah.
You know.
I heard that you originally read for the voice of Solid Snake. Is that true?
Yes, that is correct. That's right. Yeah.
I'm really curious. What would that have sounded like?
Nothing good, I tell you. You know, I mean, you know what they do when you audition? You go into the recording booth, right? And they give you some dialogue. Usually, you get a little bit of time to prepare. But not much. You know, you show up and they'll give this to you. You have maybe 5 or 10 minutes. But they give you the dialogue, and then they give you a picture of what the character looks like.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
A cartoon drawing.
Yeah.
So you try and base your voice somewhat on what the character looks like to some degree. So, you know, they showed me a picture of Snake 1, if you will, the sort of that original version of Snake. And I honestly, I don't remember what I did. I'm sure that tape is somewhere buried. I hope it's, but I tried to sound, you know, tough and masculine and, you know, which, you know, is fine. I can do my version of that. It's not David Hayter, but, so I did that, and they said, "Thank you very much." And I was about to leave the booth, and I could see, because you're in a glass window, right? So I could see through the glass. Chris Zimmerman held up her hand and said, "Hang on a second." And I could see there was this conference going on between Chris and the other people in the room. Yeah. And then she came into the booth and handed me another set of dialogue and another picture.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it was a picture of Otto Kahn 1, if you will.
Yeah.
And I remember being absolutely struck by the fact that if I had long hair and was wearing my glasses, which they're on the other side of the room, but I have a pair of round metal glasses, and I had been wearing that. It looked pretty much exactly like me. same.
I've been thinking about that too. Actually, it's a striking resemblance.
Big nose, and I didn't have a beard at the time, and so then I read Otto Kahn.
Yeah.
And they went for it.
Did you record the conversations yourself, or did you like sit face to face with the other actor? Because it sometimes feels like you're in like the same room, because it's such great acting, really.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. Because in the first game, the one we're talking about, Metal Gear 1,
yeah.
We were often in the same room, and in fact, we were in the same room with all the technicians too. There was no glass, so when we got to a take, everybody in the room had to be very, very quiet. We were in this. I've told the story before, but we were in this old, really run-down house in the middle of Hollywood.
Yeah.
That kind of had this makeshift recording studio set up. And it wasn't really soundproof. So, there were times when a big truck would go by outside, or a ambulance with a siren. We all would have to stop because the sound was bleeding through.
Yeah. Okay.
The thing about recording these games is very often you're on your own in the studio, and you're either working with stuff that someone else has recorded already,
yeah,
or the voice director is feeding you the lines, mm-hmm. or you're just doing the lines just one after the other.
Okay.
But with this one, very often, for example, David Hayter and I were very often in the same room, and I think Jennifer Hale and I did a few things together. I know the Sniper Wolf scene. I think we were all in the same room for Sniper Wolf's death, as I remember. It was so long ago, I'm starting to lose my memory of exactly what.
The Sniper Wolf death scene is like one of the most cherished memories of me as a gamer and as a kid. Playing this when I was like in tears.
Yeah, it is. It's honestly one of my favorite scenes in the whole franchise. Actually,
yeah. And great acting as well. That's a big part of it.
Yeah, no, I know, and I think the setup is sort of beautiful too. I mean, that's Mr. Kojima more than anything else. That kind of it was just kind of great.
Yeah, yeah. So going back to the recording again, do you remember like any fun trivia you want to share? Anything you remember that happened that was like out of the ordinary or something?
Well, I mean, I sort of, to some degree, what I've told you. I mean, again, it was so sort of surreal in a way to be in just this sort of house, and during the breaks, or during times when they weren't working with you, you just kind of sit in the kitchen of this house. And, there'd be food in the refrigerator, and you just kind of hang out. And I think the other thing, as I mentioned, was that, because it had already come out in Japanese, that there were certain times where we had to match our dialogue to a picture. So they would run the picture, and we would have to time out the dialogue so that we would finish the dialogue at the end of the picture and all that sort of stuff. And it's, now the technology was not nearly what it is now,
mm-hmm, yeah,
which is sort of obvious, but I mean, to just sort of understand that to some degree there are things that they can do now that they just they couldn't do. They didn't have the ability to do then.
Yeah.
So we had to try to match to the pictures.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting challenge.
Do you remember like having any thoughts about the script? Did you like it? Did you get to see the whole script, or was it just your parts of the script?
You never get to see the whole script, but because it's 2,000 pages long or something.
Yeah, that's right.
But I saw a lot of it. Probably more than I see now, But you know, and I had never seen a game script, and it's hard to follow them because, you know, all the different options are sort of laid out, you know, and you have to record all the different options, and so it's sometimes very hard to follow the plot.
Yeah.
That said, in this case, there were certain things that were really, really clear, and the most clear one to me was, well, a couple things were really clear to me. One was Otto Kahn's role in the story.
Yeah.
It became pretty clear. And his relationship to Snake. And you know, a couple of other things. I mean, his obvious. Sorry, I keep like moving my computer.
No, that's okay.
There were aspects of him that were also really clear from the script. You know, I mean, we mentioned the Sniper Wolf thing. His sensitivity, you know, and also his smarts, but his like desire to help and to be a part of things and all of that was very clear. Yeah, you know, and that was helpful to me as an actor to just know what to do, where to go.
Yeah. He's an interesting character, actually, because, you know, he grew up wanting to build, like, the anime cyborg robots, and, well, he ended up building, like, weapons of mass destruction and stuff.
Yes.
What do you think about Otto Kahn, your character?
Well, I mean, I think you're right. He's kind of a fascinating character, and I'm very, very fond of him. I think he's really multi-dimensional. Yeah, you know, you mentioned in your opening about how the game really broke all sorts of new ground, and I agree with that. And I think one of the things that it did was it really had real characters, you know, with multi-dimensional aspects to them, and I think that's one of the things that made it so appealing to everybody who played it. And the setup for Otto Kahn, as you describe, is very complex. I mean, to be filled with sort of what's the word, ambivalence about what you've done, and you know, you had ambitions, but then you've wound up doing something completely different, and you wonder, is that good or bad, or you know. And you struggle with that, and I think that's a major aspect of life for everybody. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's true.
So yeah, and then the other thing that I love about Otto Kahn is his sense of humor. You know, he's
yes.
Very often he's the kind of comedy, either deliberately or not.
Yeah.
And I think that's terrific.
And I love the whole relationship between him and Solid Snake. It's like a brotherly love, kind of teasing thing going on here and there, and like a real bromance.
Yes, absolutely, no question about it. And, no question about it. And that was really cool. And you know, a lot of that developed. I mean, it was there, but I think the way David Hayter and I were able to play with each other really helped that. And, you know, a lot of that was helped by us being able to record in the same room together and play off of each other. Yeah. So that was really great. And, I'm a big admirer of David's. I think he's remarkable.
You're still friends? You hang out or something sometimes?
Yeah, he's out in LA mostly, and he's a big deal screenwriter, and he's now directed at least one feature film. I think he's going to get his second one going. So, yeah. You know, he's sort of a bigger deal than I am. But I do, you know, when I'm out in LA and I have some time, I track him down, and we often go have dinner. He's a really good guy.
Oh, cool! I would love to hear those conversations between Snake and Otto Kahn having dinner in LA.
Well, we should record one. We should.
Yeah. You should. You really should. And I'm also very curious. Have you played the games yourself? Are you a gamer or?
I played the first game because I really wanted to see my work, and I tried to play the second game and got about halfway through. I mean, the point is, I'm not very good at it. The kind of eye-hand coordination required, excuse me, is not my strong suit. And I also, I have to confess, I sometimes get a weird kind of motion sickness from staring at the screen that's moving so much. But I have played a little over the years off and on. I have watched people play all the games.
Yeah.
I've seen almost all, because you can go on YouTube and see all the cutscenes are on there. I have cousins who have teenage children, and I have watched them play Metal Gear 5.
Oh,
it's an amazing game, I have to say. So yeah, and I keep telling myself that I should really sit down and really play through one of them.
Yeah, you really should, because they're all amazing.
Yeah, they are amazing. No, they really are amazing.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you would like to add as a final note?
Well, yeah, no, I'm deeply grateful for the kind of fan base, if you will, the people who so love these games, and because I love doing them, and I love the idea of them, the complexity and the detail and the moral questions that come up from this franchise, and I think that's really cool, and I'm kind of sad that it seems like it may be over.
Yeah.
There's always talk, but I mean, certainly I know I and a lot of the other voice actors, English voice actors, would love to do another one. But I think it depends on Konami and Kojima and all sorts of stuff that we have no control over. So,
do you have any connection with Kojima nowadays, or?
Not really. I've met him a few times at promotional things, and he came into the studio a couple times when we were recording Metal Gear 4, and he's always been very nice to me. But I mean, he's a major sort of rock star,
Yeah, he is.
So and I follow his Twitter feed, and I'll see film of him at the E3s in Los Angeles and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't quite know what he's up to next, but I'm sure it'll be kind of brilliant, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's called Death Stranding, and it's a lot of like big Hollywood actor names in it, and no one really knows what it is yet.
Yeah. Well, he likes those big Hollywood names.
Yeah.
And he I feel like he's always wanted a Metal Gear movie.
Yeah.
And he may make that happen. I don't know. I mean, it would be very interesting to see.
Yeah. And I would give my everything to have you play Otto Kahn, really. That would be so awesome.
I think I'd have to play older Otto Kahn at this point.
Yeah, that's true, maybe.
But I mean, it's an interesting game that friends of mine sometimes play. Is like, what big star would you cast as Otto Kahn?
Yeah.
Who knows? By the time they get one going, maybe I'll be a big enough star to be able to be in it.
Let's cross our fingers, man.
Yes, let's do that.
Christopher, I'm really glad you took the time to answer our questions. Thank you. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I'm still a bit starstruck, I must admit.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been a pleasure for me to talk to you, and anytime.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see if I can get myself to Sweden. I'll have to work on that. Do you guys have a Comic-Con in Sweden?
Yeah, we do actually. That's coming up in like November or something.
Well, who knows? Maybe I can. Well, we'll see. I have never gone to a Comic-Con.
You should. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah, that's what I hear, and I would love to do it at some point. So if there's enough demand, I'm there.
Cool. We'll figure something out, man. Well, I won't bother you anymore. I have to get back and I have to go to bed. Got work tomorrow and
sorry.
stuff. So
I hope you feel better. And Robin, I have to tell you, your English is wonderful. You could do any kind of an interview in English. You did a wonderful job. Seriously.
Thank you very much. It means a lot to me, man.
It's really true. And it's been a real pleasure, so thank you. And please stay in touch. Let me know how things go. And when this goes up, send me a note and just let me know so I can track it down and listen, okay?
Yeah, of course, man, of course.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and take care, man.
You too.